Nature spirits are all around us all the time, and they are nature's helpers. They are etheric beings, and they come from the consciousness of the earth, the consciousness of living things. So every blade of grass, every kind of plant has a nature spirit that tends it. And they tend generally in areas of vegetation, and different ones have different jobs in nature, and it can be seen that they are some of them are actual chemical processes, like the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, all these cycles that happen that science has found out about. They're actually regulated by nature spirits. When you think of gnomes, you think of the little garden gnomes. Well, we're going to meet gnomes, and they're not little. They're quite big. And gnomes in particular are part of how the earth gets its nutrients. So they're in charge of breaking down leaves and composting the dead matter to turn it into nutritious soil. And other beings like trolls are in charge of rocks and cliff faces and standing stones and crags. And then you have others like the dwarves, who are subterranean. They work with the fissures in the rock, the underground water, the deposits of crystals and minerals. The dwarves, yes. And all these beings have their own role in nature and their own etheric presence. So it can be seen, throughout history, that these beings have made themselves known to us from time to time. There's so many fairy stories and traditions that even persist to this day, particularly in places like Wales, Ireland. You've got the leprechauns, of course. Scandinavia, you've got the trolls and the elves, and other countries. And they're even in some religions, like Buddhist religion, they have a puja specifically for nature spirits, like the Nagas. So either we're all mad, or these things actually exist. So because people have been seeing them and working with them for literally thousands of years. They're even in Native American traditions where they meet these beings, and in the jungles of the Amazon, there are nature spirits there. So they're not shy of us, but they generally haven't been revealing themselves to us because we have switched off, become scientists, our minds have been turned off by science, so that when you were children and you saw these beings, is what happened to me, everyone around you tells you that they're not there. You're imagining it. It's your imaginary friend. That's the classic. It's just an imaginary friend. Now, how a child can make up an imaginary friend out of nothing, well, you see where this is going. So we get it schooled out of us, we get it taught out of us, we're told we're being ridiculous and we can't possibly see these beings. And yet, throughout history, they have been seen. And farmers and people who work the land often have experiences with them. And even to this day, so I'll tell you a little story. There was a road in Ireland that was being built, and it was a straight road, and it went through this fairy tree, and they were going to cut the tree down. And then one day this old boy who had a local farm said, "No, you don't want to cut that tree down. You do that, there'll be trouble. There'll be trouble, mark my word, there'll be trouble if you cut that tree down." And so they all chortled to themselves and went off, and then something happened and they came back, and then they went to see this guy, and a local druid brought the town planners to meet this old boy who'd been living in this cottage near this tree, and he recounted the tales of this tree. So now in Ireland there's a very straight road with a kink in it where they went round the tree. And so for the most part, nature spirits are very benign and actually friendly and curious. But there comes a time when we impinge on their territory, when we impinge on their portals, if you like. And when that happens, then things can start going wrong. Has anyone heard of Sami Ling Buddhist temple? It's a temple in Scotland that was being built. And they built the temple on one of these portals, and things started going wrong in a big way. And eventually they called the Lama, and the Lama came along and says, oh, well, there's fairies there. Let's move them up a hill and plant trees for them. So they did. They planted trees, and they told the fairies to move. And then all of a sudden, all the bad luck changed, and they built the temple in record time because they honoured the fairies. So this is interesting to me because I work as what is known as a geomancer. I work with earth energies, ley lines, underground water. I cure people's houses. I do spirit ghost busting and things like that. And I work with natural energies of the earth. And we built this tree circle earlier on Tuesday. And that's the kind of things that I do. But in doing that work, I came across the gnomes. And my first meeting was in Findhorn. I don't know if you know Findhorn. It's a kind of renowned for growing huge cabbages on sand and huge vegetables. And that was due to their interaction with the nature spirits. So my first interaction with gnomes was in Findhorn at this place called the Nature Sanctuary, and I was sitting outside and two beings came up. I was in a very good space. We'd just done like 3 hours of overtone singing, and I was quite a high vibration, and they came up to me and said, we are the gnomes, and then downloaded blueprints into my mind on how they work and how they work within nature, and I've not quite been the same since. And so I've been working with them for 20 years now, and they're essential for doing what I do, which is earth healing. But they're also essential if you're a gardener. Any gardeners here? Okay. And they're also essential, can be very useful if you're a healer. Any healers here? Okay. But they're also good if you're wanting a deeper connection to the nature, and particularly your local landscape, because they are literally, particularly gnomes, are the consciousness. They know everything that's happened in the landscape. So if there's trauma, if there's good places to go, they'll know about it. And my first few stone circles I built were actually informed by gnomes on where to put them. So it just gives you an idea on how you can interact with them. So do you think it's quiet enough to do a little meditation? I think that's... Yeah? Okay. So if you sit quietly, sit up in a kind of... We'll do a little meditation, it'll be 5-10 minutes. And this meditation was actually taught to me in Cornwall by a king of the gnomes. And I was building a sacred site at the time, and I was struggling to find the center of the circle. And I was getting confused because I was quite new to dowsing at that time. And in the end I decided to just go back into my tent, and he was sitting in my tent waiting for me. And then as soon as I got in here, he said, I'm the king of the gnomes, let's go. And we went on this meditation. So, this is a gnomic meditation. Ready? Okay, so sit quietly, relax, take a few deep breaths in, and let's bring a bit of harmony in and create the space. So let's do, if we just come into our heart, gently touch your heart, and we'll do 3 R's just to bring us all present. So you find yourself in nature, in your favorite place. You imagine it's a beautiful day like today, the sun's beating down, and you feel safe. And you're just looking around the horizon, looking around you in your favorite place. And all of a sudden, somewhere near you, the ground starts moving. And then this head pops up, and it's a gnome. And he says, all right, we've been waiting for you. Come on, this way. And he disappears down a hole. And you follow him. And you can see him disappear up this hole, down this hole, into the earth. And he scampers ahead of you, and you have to rush to catch up. Down, 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 deeper into the earth. And just at the moment where all light is failing, you notice that the walls start to glimmer with different crystals. Still following the gnome, you notice these glowing crystals. They whiz past you. Green, yellow, white, purple, blue, all different colors, just enough light for you to see the gnome ahead of you as you go down, 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 deeper and deeper into the earth. And he takes you down and down and down until you come to a cavern. And in this cavern, you can see a huge rift in the earth. It's like a huge fault line. And you can see the other side of the cavern. And across this chasm, there is a single span bridge that curves upwards and then down to the other side. And you can barely make out the cliff face on the other side. And the gnome turns to you and says, don't worry, it's really safe. I use it every day. Come on. And he runs up the bridge. And you follow him cautiously at first. But then you realize that he's true to his word. And the bridge is really solid. Even though it's a single span, it's made of solid rock. And you follow the gnome up, up, up the bridge. Halfway now, you reach the top of the bridge, and then he descends down the other side, and you follow him down the curve of the bridge, where you come to a cliff edge. And all you see is these cliffs. This is where the magic comes. And the gnome puts his hand on the wall, and 2 doors form, and they open inward. 2 massive stone doors become normal doors, and they open in, and before you, you can see a huge hall with vaulted ceilings and beautiful granite floors of all different colours and huge marble pillars supporting the roofs. And this hall is long, and at the end of the hall you can barely make out a dais with 3 thrones upon it, 4 thrones upon it. Now be respectful, not many people come here. And the gnome walks in slowly, and you admire the cool stone floor and the patterns on the pillars. They all seem natural but polished. And you approach the 3 thrones, and you start to make out beings on these thrones. One is a tall, slender woman with green features, pointed ears, and dark hair that seems to change colour as you look at it. The other is a short, stocky man with a beard, and he holds a scepter, and he has a crown on his head. And another is another shorter being who also has a crown on his head and holds a pipe. And on the other side of the lady is a tall figure with a pointed nose and pointed ears and very deep, penetrating eyes. He looks like he's made of stone. And he says, "Welcome to the hall of the kings and queens of the nature spirits. My lady, the elf queen, the fairy queen," and she rises and bows to you. "My fellow dwarf king," and the man with the beard and the scepter rises and he bows to you. And lastly, the gnome king, and the last being rises and bows to you. All around you, you can feel beings watching. In fact, when you look out the corner of your eyes, you can see eyes, but they dart away. The elf queen, fairy queen speaks. Know that you can come here for wisdom and knowledge now that you have been. This is one of many halls where we meet, where we go about our business, helping the planet, helping the earth, making sure life prospers, making sure everything procreates, making sure that the earth is ripe and abundant with life. From these places, our children go forth and do the work unseen on all continents of the world, in all gardens, in all sacred places. Now, don't be afraid, but our children want to meet you. And then from around you, you can feel all these eyes come closer. And you notice that some are flying, and some are walking, and some are scampering. And all of a sudden, there is a flood of nature spirits that surround you. And they're looking at you, they're looking up at you, they're looking into your eyes, they're pulling your hair, they're wondering what you're wearing, they're pulling your clothes, pulling your ears. They want to get to know you. But amongst all these different nature spirits, all the different kinds, there's one of them that you feel a connection with. And that one nature spirit looks deeply into your eyes. and they give you something. They give you a gift. And in return you find something that you want to give, whether it's a word or just your love, or maybe something materializes in your hand that you want to give them. Just spend a moment with this one nature spirit, and you notice that the others pull back and give you space. Finally, the gnome king stands and says, now you have met our brothers and sisters, it is time for you to go, and maybe they want to come with you, and maybe they don't. But if you want to come back here, you can, with an open heart and good intention and love for the earth is the key to this sacred place. And you are welcome to come back if you have these within you. We are always looking for allies in the human world to help us. Because as much as we do in the invisible world, there are things we can't do physically. You can pick up rubbish. You can pick up metal. You can clean the rivers. You can rebuild and plant gardens. So when you're wanting to work with us, just ask yourself, what can I do physically to help? The things that we can't lift, the things we can't move, the things that shouldn't be there, but are there. Because you are all very wasteful, and you know you are. We only work with the natural energy. And the dwarf speaks, yes, you wear the jewelry from the earth, you wear the clothes from the earth, but what do you really give back? What do you really give back to the mother? Think on this as you return, and take one of our kind with you, if it pleases you, and if it pleases them. For we are not under the command of the human realm. We have our own destiny and our own evolution. We work for the mother, and only her. And with that he bows, and they all bow. And then your little guide gnome appears in front of you. I think that's our cue to leave. Thank you, your majesties. And he bows. And he gestures for you to do the same. And you bow before the kings and queens of the nature spirits. And then he quickly reverses up the hall backwards, bowing all the way, and he gestures you to follow him. And you make your way out of the hall to the cliff edge. And as soon as the last one of you is at the cliff edge, the doors close and become solid rock again. Okay, that went better than expected. Let's go. And he runs up the single-span bridge. And you have to really run to follow him this time. But you realize it's safe and you're not afraid, and you run. And just when you think you're at the top, he grinds to a halt and says, okay, now I'm going to show you some magic. And just at that moment, the whole cavern lights up with a green fire, and the walls are transformed into shining crystal light of all different hues, of all spectrums. And you get bathed by this green rainbow light from the gems of the earth. All right, that's enough of that. And it all goes black. And he runs on again. And you have to run to catch up down the bridge to the hole, to the tunnel. And he waits for you all to get off the bridge. Okay, super quick now. And he tears off at lightning speed, and you have to run, and you see the crystals blur past you as you run following this little gnome, up, and you start to see a pinprick of light ahead of you, and you know that that's your safe place, and you run up, he pops out of the hole, and you pop out next to him, and see your own body lying in your safe place. Alright, get back in then. And you return to your body and lie down, and all of a sudden you're back there in your sacred place. See you next time. And he dives headfirst into the hole, and then the hole disappears as if it were never there. So now feel your body back in the festival. With the beautiful singing, and open your eyes, come back. When you're ready, sit up. How was that? Yeah? Okay, who brought a nature spirit back? Just raise your hand.
I find it quite difficult to hear all bits of that. Now you're talking to the microphone.
Wasn't I talking into the microphone?
I wish you had.
Oh.
It's like it's really difficult to hear.
Oh, sorry.
Is that my imagination? Are you talking to the microphone?
Was anyone else having difficulty hearing? Okay. Maybe it wasn't as loud as I thought. But anyway, who met a nature spirit? Just raise your hand. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes? Yeah? Did you meet one? No? No? Okay, it doesn't matter, because we will now. You can join in, it's okay. So that meditation was given to me by the Gnome King in Cornwall. And at the time it was pretty powerful. And these realms exist within the earth, in the etheric world. And nature spirits are, if we had the eyes to see the way they see, we would be amazed at what actually is happening in nature. So what I'm going to do now is, if we can all maybe stand up and give ourselves a bit of a shake. Do that.